It's lit. Guess we'll find out tomorrow.
See how well you do. You got minutes there, stuff for us?
The agenda right there.
Agenda.
Yep. Thank you. You got anything else to cover? Anything else to cover? No, I'm good. So I'd like to call the Monday, November 13th, 2023 Park Board meeting to order. I'll take a roll call. Matt Norbert here. Steve Lewis here. Danielle. Irene Earl. I'll come back to that if I might. David Pierce. So I'm guessing, and Paul, I figure you'll introduce yourself, but to deal with one topic at a time. I did not hear from Irene. And this has become a little bit of an issue of not having an excuse for absenteeism. I know this is at least the second, if not the third time. So I would like to take that up with you at some point to understand. I will reach out to her.
Okay. Do you guys do like the city council does when council members absent and make a motion to approve their absence?
Well, yes, but we haven't gotten into, we try and keep getting too deep into why or why's not. But this to me has now become a little bit of an issue. Yes, I was gonna make a motion to carry on the meeting because I can't really do a motion as far as excusing her. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a reason for it. So I just wanted to ask you, if there's something we can talk about.
Yes.
So I'm going to leave Irene as an unexcused absentee for the meeting. So I really don't see a need personally for a motion because we have a quorum.
Correct.
So we're in good shape. And I have really kind of bypassed, not to be rude to the liaison, but we've kind of bypassed because they kind of go as they do, but I do want to, I'll make a note that Doris is here every meeting, and I appreciate that. So I'll move to number 3, approval of the minutes. And this being the last meeting that we had, which is kind of nice to have the last meeting minutes in front of me. Has everyone had a chance to look at these? Okay. And David or Matt, do you see anything, and take a minute if you need to, if you see something that you can jog your memory? Just let me know. Take your time. Take your time.
Matt's ready, I'm ready to
Take your
motion
time.
to approve. Is that right?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
So moved.
And so we're approving the minutes from the October 9th meeting in 2023. Number 4, which is audience comments. Julie, I don't know if you have a comment or two, please.
Just quickly, first thing, downtown looks great with all the lights, especially the ones on the trees, look lovely. I have a question, probably more specifically for you. On this tree removal report, I think it's the total number of trees that have been removed this year.
Yes.
Or is that just when they were removed, and the total number will be 24 then for the ones removed?
Yes. So 2023 tree removal report with the dates on it, over to the left.
Right, but the 24 is the total number for this year.
Yes.
And this is my question, the trees that Middletown gets, 150 trees that were given to the community in May.
That we gave out.
Yes.
Yes.
None of those go for parks, is that correct?
No, it's strictly for a citizens, that kick back to the citizens.
Right. are any of these trees, are there any trees that are already planted in parks? I guess my point of view, 24 have died.
Yeah.
Not your best. Are there any replanted in parks?
So when they, and I want Doris to help me a little bit, because her being an ex-employee will help me, but from what I understand, when a decision is made to start a tree planting program, okay, some things are taken into consideration. Number one, obviously, is cost. Can we buy the tree? Well, I'm gonna, this is how I kind of answer the question. I start from the beginning to the end. So consideration is there money there for the trees? What are the priorities to plant, where do we want to plant those trees? And then the biggest thing is, how many trees do we have in the ground that need care, and can we add more to that maintenance program?
Understood.
Okay?
It was just a question.
I get it.
If that many are coming down, I just wondered about.
I would say that there have been no real park plantings in some time. I would say at least 2 or 3 years, as far as a bush of trees. 1, maybe 2, if she has an extra one, that the medians were being dealt with, entrances were being dealt with, especially, and again, I kind of defer, obviously the new exit out at the highway, right, took a lot of their time, because we had to supplement the area. But to answer your question right now, I do not have information that anything has been planted recently in the parks. Now, what I will say, and I appreciate where your question went, if you think about the 28 to 30 parks that we have, and that number of trees that's been removed, and some of these obviously aren't all in parks. Right, that's a really low number.
I get it, but my guess is a lot of these are probably older trees too.
It's hard to say.
Well, I guess, but I'm always thinking more trees. I just was just a question.
Yeah, but I'm not the best to answer it. But usually when I'm talking to Al, who at the time, I mean, is kind of running that, she has not spoken of much planting. Now, we wouldn't be planting trees until the next month anyway. I mean, we've tried to limit, the number of
This
trees.
is just a question that I have, because I've been thinking. Then one last question I have, I was just driving down the rail today, headed towards
Which way?
73, towards 73.
Okay, down the
North. The trees that are planted there are fairly recent.
Yep, red buds. In the median?
Yeah, how tall do they get?
Those red buds, they're not gonna get super tall.
They're not gonna be very lines.
That's what I thought, my God, they're very recent, that's what I thought, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Mature growth on those red buds would be probably 20 feet.
It's like when you kill they were this time of year, and I'm just listening to this.
And I actually sent her a note because a couple of them need to be staked. They're
Those are my questions, just tree
Okay.
questions, that's why I was asking you.
And I can answer for myself, when I was the grounds technician, we planted normally 20 to 30 trees a year, because that's all the personnel we had to keep the water maintained.
Oh, no, I get all that, I'm just
And
wondering.
Valerie, over her first 10 years, planted a lot more than that every year.
Yeah.
So she's really.
Well, I'm guessing we had a massive loss of the ash a while back, and
Nice.
No. We were a very rare, again, my answers are never really short, but when it came to public ground, Middletown was spared greatly. Private homeowners took the beating. We were very rare for municipalities to not have the number back. And that's kind of right when Doris was leaving, when Ashmore came in, right? Yeah.
2 or 3 years before I left.
Yeah, and, I called Bill Becker when Bill was the city manager, because I come from the most recent Seminole. I said, dude, we need to go out and do an inventory, because this is the real deal. And you're almost better off to just get rid of them, because as they die and get more brittle, they're worse to take down. So, Yep.
They look beautiful too.
I have
and then we, the discussion a little bit, and it's nice to have, you're kind of a rare breed of not just coming in and talking about. Of not coming in and talking about, hey, the soccer field's one cut, or the ball diamonds didn't get room. You're asking about trees, which is something we don't get into a lot anymore. We need to help with our status as Tree City. We can't say that enough. We need as many minutes as we can to keep talking. I think.
I just also thought 24, so I was thinking the number would be great. So I was happy. to
I
see
think
it.
we're pretty good shape. I think that's a low number.
I do too, and when I was looking at that, I was gonna be way
And
higher.
remember, if you can recall, in your house, I mean, we have not had any real hard storms. There was one windstorm that came through that caught everybody off guard, and I know they were out for a couple of days. When was that? August? Well, no, this year. It was, it caught, well, it was a pretty good windstorm, and you guys all went out, I went out, no one, and I'm telling you what, there were limbs down everywhere. Because I ran into the guys over at Penn Station, and they were cleaning up at Smith Park.
Yeah.
They came back from Smith Park, and they'd been in there half a day. So, we've been lucky by not having storms that take down trees.
Only question I have
That's
is,
it. Reports and presentations.
Well, I like to.
And please, Doris, go ahead.
First of all, Liberty Heights Church, when they showed up that Saturday, there was probably 60, 65 people, and they did a fantastic job of living for it. They painted the basketball, and pressure washed the court, they chipped the play toy, they painted the picnic tables,
that's awesome.
Fleming Park, and then they also sent a crew to Oakland Park, but they just like picked up trash and stuff there. And they sent probably 10, 15 people out of the community to pick up trash, so that was a real success. Every year I do a report Friday on the people that we reach and have volunteers, and this year we had, 629 people that we reached either through the kids in education or volunteers, in cleaning up and the Bright Spot people, and 1,000 of those were students. And somehow that helps her with her EPA. Last month I reported we had 1,800 volunteer hours. It looks like by the end of the year it'll be closer to 2,000 that we'll be able. The board members have added 3 more classes to their curriculum, and they've got approval to go back into the Head Start program again next spring. And they'll have 5 classes to teach, and 3 of those will also be on the river. Since they're little kids, we're figuring they'll grasp not throwing trash down better than they will recycling and have more stuff. The swing set at Douglas, unfortunately Charlie was out on funeral leave, so I didn't get an update on that. Tagging off of Dave Pierce, I was at the Keep Ohio Beautiful annual conference last week, and an EPA person spoke. And this year new to them is a grant that is unmatched, that anybody can apply for $10,000 to get all 3 lift stations put in parks. So that might be something that the city would want to look into. Unfortunately, I think the deadline for this year is Friday the 17th, but I just heard about it, but I'm still going to offer it again next year. And like I say, the city wouldn't have to match anything.
And that's this Friday?
Yes. But it would be great to get some.
You know how much it takes to apply for it?
It's online.
That's what I kind of was getting at. It's online, you can just do it with all right
Yeah, you can do it online.
Where do you get online? What site?
Ohio EPA/grants.
Ohio EPA/grants?
Yeah. I mean, I've found them before, and I'm not very computer literate, so I'm sure somebody.
It's up to 10,000?
Yeah.
It requires a match.
No.
No.
Oh, no. Right, that's what we
Hey, it's
had.
jump.
Which is, not rare, but,
It's pretty rare for the EPA.
yeah.
Unless you're going for
Hard
hard
money.
And we would recommend that at Smith.
Well, the board, our board had some extra money from the money that Cleveland Cliffs donated to us last year. And, I got with Charlie and told him that we would be willing to spend like up to $1,500 to put, one in Smith Park, so I
How
told
much does
him.
one cost?
Well, unfortunately, the ones for parks have to be vandal-proof and extra sturdy. The ones I were looking at weren't so much, but they're like $2,400 for them.
How many do you estimate we need?
Well, I would say 2 in Smith Park, 1 in I think Jefferson may have one at the pickleball court.
Well,
And,
that's a good question.
let's see, Goldman Park and Jacob Park, all the big parks, I would say, especially, and Sunset, anytime you have.
I'm just
ball
wondering why
games.
we're not using the money that's been allotted for capital improvements in the park for such something, it's a minor cost, you know?
Okay, so let me understand this if I can. So this is a bottle refilling station.
Awesome.
Okay. I'm not
And
familiar.
then somehow, the way I understand it is every time somebody uses it, it counts how many water bottles, plastic bottles, it stays out of the environment and then.
So is it something that has a water tank with it, or does it connect into the city's water system?
It connects into the city water system, but there's no refrigeration required or no electricity.
So the thing would be how close water lines are.
Right.
And that's why I
But
say.
we got buildings.
Smith, that's an easy solve.
That's, the-
Well, so does Sunset, they've got one down there by the basketball court.
they got knocked over a couple
This
years
looks
ago.
like,
See
that
that?
looks like.
But I know there's one there.
Yeah.
There might even be one over by, there's not one.
Because that's wall mounted.
Those is pretty, that thing's pretty nice looking.
And drinking fountain.
I mean, it goes well with the decor of Sunset Park. Huh,
This would be
let me
great.
get with Scott and Charlie and see. I mean,
And I went online, I found some that were cheaper, and then I took to Charlie and said, you know, if these will work, this is how much money
Okay.
we'll
But it would
do.
be great, like even at Jaco and even Douglas would have water, I mean, that would be great.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Time.
We have water rack section, is that?
So
You
there's,
have to ask for outdoor.
so this one will do bottles and has two drink, 3,300 bottles.
That's
Is that
a
the
real
EDA?
special.
It has two drinking.
Oh, yeah, there's a.
But I think Vanderbilt, unfortunately,
Well, that's, most of those have
Exactly.
expanded.
You know, the other thing is, what do you think about the DFIS? Parks, we've seen more and more of those.
Security would be a technical problem with those. I can tell you, like, if we put them where public had access to them, they'd be gone within a day.
yeah, but why couldn't you keep one over in his concession?
But there should be one.
Just
There's
that,
not.
you don't have one, Dave?
I'm not aware that there is.
That's silly, you don't. We'll look into it.
But you don't think the ones, I mean, there's, the ones outside of the buildings are not, you can't secure those properly.
We had it stolen from the police lobby. We have the AV downstairs, we have 2 of them here in the city building. There's one on the entry floor, the lobby, and one in the police. The one in the police lobby got stolen.
Wow.
Okay. So, Smith, there should be one for Smith. Douglas,
Maybe Leverson.
Your 7 major parks,
Lefferson,
all those old farts at Lefferson.
Jacob, yeah,
Maybe Sunset of the building.
Sunset, but that's not,
There's no places.
nobody. A lot of times when events go on, nobody there. That time soon we'll get one there, the fire department should be there, but time matters.
And
And
just,
Phil Keating, that's how, you know, he went down at the tennis club and luckily a parent was there who knew the nurse did CPR and they got their defibrillator. Saved his life.
So they have one inside.
I'll, very briefly embellish a story, just so I get a chance to give my
So my brother died, had a massive heart attack up in Dublin, Ohio, at the recreation center. He had just got done coaching his daughter's basketball team, and he was 43. And Mom went through Walt Rail and was one of the first to get the new, this is now been 22 years, and got 2 of the defibrillators, portable ones, and one still is there with his name on it. But they've really come down in price.
Oh, yeah.
And they're really affordable. And was, I think they had actually used one once or twice, we call it, on it. So, that's,
I mean, you can even go into pharmacies now and buy them off the shelf.
yeah. So, I did want to say, piggyback off of yours, that I met the minister over at Liberty Heights, and he was beyond enthusiastic, and they really want to get involved in that neighborhood. He was very nice, and I hope that they might come in.
And I reached out to them today, and thanked them, and told them all about birthday next year, saying maybe we could come up with a project for them for next year.
Great. Okay, I'm guessing no one else has any presentations or reports. Go to old business, the tree removal report, which you really kind of tapped on. I don't see, obviously, I'm guessing the last 2 months ago was a tree ahead that was removed. State tree, and it's like the number one tree that this lantern flies is going after. Not the most desirable tree, quite honest, it's really soft.
Was it a Vanderbilt kill?
No, I have no idea what this is, what this is, I'm mistaken.
Okay.
So really, there isn't a whole lot to talk about in that report. Park maintenance, if everyone wants to take a look at that, and then you have some questions.
Got all of it, this, they sent it to you.
Let me see what the head of the map is. What's it say at the top?
Armed Cruiser, Nature Reserve.
Yeah, but does it say asset activity, general review, or does it?
Yeah, I think they have it, it's in that format, I think.
Okay, this is.
I'm looking obviously just for October.
No, this is different, because this breaks down the actual activity level.
Okay.
That's the other one she does.
Well,
Yeah, this is,
Great.
that's the one, that's the new system.
this is the good one.
So,
I think this reporting is great.
so, the one we have in the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, the one we have in the minutes.
It's a total by park.
Is that a summary?
Yes.
Am
We're looking at the summary, what we're passing out as the detail.
Detail.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, everyone want to take a minute? Although it's, this being such a new system in accounting, we kind of don't know what to bounce it off of.
That's why it'll be great for next year, you can bounce it off, and this is what happened last year.
Right.
This is where we are this year, that's why it's so fabulous.
I don't want to play stump the chump, so you don't have to answer this right now. I would just be curious as to how your team looks at this and how they end up using this to make decisions.
I need to find out.
I think the litter pickup is good.
You know, from a big picture standpoint, you look at the summary page, 37% of the time, is spent on non-asset stuff, and another 33% is spent at Smith Park. So 70% is spent in just those two categories. And I don't know how much of, this is a Parks Department report, so that probably means the Parks Department people are doing this work. And so, as we struggle to try and maintain our parks, if 37% of it is being spent on non-assets, does that mean those are non-assets outside of the park?
Where do you reading
Go to, well, if you go to the non-asset category, and that time at 2,380 hours, I guess this is year, it's a year-to-date.
That's on tree.
Go to
tree
non-asset.
trimming.
You see non-asset. All right, so if I divided that by the total hours year-to-date,
It's like 37% of the Parks Department time is spent on non-assets.
But a lot of that
and
is
as you
on,
look,
So if
are
you look at
those,
these,
are those,
Like in parks,
it's trees, a lot of tree stuff.
yeah, but is it in the park or outside of the park?
I'd say it's in the park. And I'd say it's non-asset.
But I see debris in alleys, debris in road, dead animals.
I don't think it's, is it streets and different?
So like the homeless camp cleanup, that would be a non-asset, I'm sure, because it's not a bar.
Right, and then down trees everywhere. In the city streets.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting it doesn't need to be done, it's just, we're struggling to keep our parks nice, because we're spending on assets.
Right.
The city needs 37%.
Which means we need more help.
Well, that's what I would conclude, I just wonder what the city's interpretation is. Yeah, I'm here to defend the parks.
There you go.
Somebody else will worry about the rest of the city.
That's true.
I will
Find out. I don't know.
and report back.
It would be good to know from that special event at Smith Park, 688 hours. It would be good for the community to know, what community events, we know generally what you're spending on, especially in July. You're spending on 4th of July, and you're spending on the windows.
July 3rd.
How does that split up? And there's 60 in October, I suspect that's a lot. You guys start to help.
Yes, they do.
Someone can check, because I'm just trying to take a lot of this. Oh, I'm just trying to understand, like, for different locations, the transit station, and they pay attention to that. The total lot,
The top lot?
top lot. What is the top lot?
Is that the?
University
park?
Park Lot, it's a little, kind of a mini park over
By
there.
the dam.
Like Frederick Bay.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we call it University Park. Okay, all right, got it.
And the transit station special events was probably the farmer's market.
Transit, yes, okay, yeah, that one I could, yeah.
And that would probably be a non-asset in within all those.
What a monthly setup.
Yeah, I was gonna ask for you to carry months over on each page. I know.
I agree, that's why
I know, I'm kind of like the one page, April, calendar.
Okay.
Okay, well, if you have questions,
Yes, it's
we're
awesome.
welcome to email me or email Ally. And I get to that here. Review of park visits. So I know, I think everyone's, I don't know if they were confused. We were doing, it seemed like I was off on the parks that she was looking at us to visit. I was a month off. All the time, but again, I've got my notes on all, I'm kind of on all these parks. So for this particular meeting, regular meeting, recreational user group, which we really didn't have. So from what I understand, we would review last month's parks. Douglas, Gardner, Oakland, Michigan, Farmers, and Nature Preserve. So has anyone, or did anyone go and visit these? Does anyone have any comments?
I visited them.
Jay?
When I went by Douglas Park, there were tons of kids playing in that soccer, the new soccer thing, which I thought was cool. There's always kids playing there. And that was right before I came here, so it was getting dark and they were still out there having a blast. Gardner Park, the tennis nets were down. Didn't know if that was because of maybe people taking them down or just.
I have not seen, I have been tennis nets ball in Gardner, and I was just at Gardner for another reason. And honestly, Danielle, I don't think I can remember the last time that tennis court nets were up.
Oh, okay.
But I want to be careful with that. I think they have not, I think they've made a decision not to re-up those, I don't know how else to say it, but put them up. Either for lack of use or damage to them. I'm going to assume maybe just lack of use. But,
I don't ever see anybody using.
yeah, I don't either, but then again, I don't know how much we're promoting it. That's kind of, changed as well. And that's been kind of a topic. I know the pickleball has asked, about a few other parks and if they can, potentially move in on those. Did you have any other comments about some of the parks?
I didn't know if anybody else had visited the Michigan Park.
I did,
Did you notice the baby swings to be unusually high?
yes.
Okay, I thought that was strange. That's where my eye always goes because I do have a, small child, and I walked up to them and they were very high.
There were these time.
Yeah, there were a couple
So,
there.
of course, everybody was working.
Yeah.
It was DVDs.
Yeah, I did see kids play.
The basketball court.
Basketball.
Oh, yeah.
They were
This is terrible, like,
Yeah. But they're using them.
Yeah.
So, it's a short walk over there.
Yep.
Well, I'll write that down too, maybe go over and look at it. I don't think short chains.
Yeah, it looked like the chains were a little bit newer.
I didn't
But it just
see
seemed
that.
unusually high for a baby swing. You never know.
What's the tall guy doing?
Using a bucket truck.
Fireman doing a ladder truck.
I went to, where we were walking around to, Farmers and Nature Preserve. And I talked to two people that lived on, Riverview, the condos, the obviously in the spring, summer, and fall. And of course, there's supposed to be down here, and talk about that, the fencing and brush and some other things, but Steve Hughes,
How in the past, it was anyway.
yeah, but I don't know, really not.
Yeah, it's been grown.
Is that a paved trail or just a
No.
dirt trail? And how does the brush keep cut back?
Oh, it hasn't been, I mean, not until we initially started the project. So now that the exposure, now you have 360 degrees of exposure, the honeysuckle's just getting worse. I've kind of thought of an idea, not to take over
No,
that,
please.
but it seems like that neighborhood wants to be, they want it. You know, we're never gonna develop it. Hey, Paul, we're, just out of curiosity, the water tank on that, the extra water tank, is it going up? Did we have a public hearing about it? Were we to have a public hearing about it?
We had a meeting at Middletown High School of residents so they could express their concern and ask questions. I know it's going next to it, but for the life of me, I just can't remember which side.
Oh, okay, but that has been broached to, that has been talked to the neighborhood, right?
Yes.
So, but besides that information, my hope would be, and I would have to ask the city, but would be to ask the neighborhood, how involved would they like to be? Would they like to be able to get a volunteer group in there, which I would be willing to help be there and look at helping as far as supervising. My days of getting down on my knees and doing the actual chainsawing, I don't have a problem with it to a point, but seeing if the neighborhood might be willing to tackle some of this. And at the same time, hear their vision for that neighborhood, what they want to do, because I still think over by the shelter, if that's cleared out correctly, there is room for playground equipment. Now, I have not been over to that neighborhood, the Sawyer. They have a dog park, I guess, over there.
Yeah. I don't think it's very good.
But they don't have like a traditional park there.
No.
Was there one that was supposed to go in there, Paul?
I have no idea.
I don't see any ground for it. All I see is a lot of lots. Yeah, so,
On top of house.
I mean, this is all big talk, but I would want to coordinate it with Scott and Ally or Scott or one of them and come up with a very brief, because you know how meetings are, and just get the neighborhood and see if they would be interested in meeting and then talk about it and hear what they have to say about it. Because I think a lot of folks over there would like to see it taken care of and used.
Is there a de facto leader in that neighborhood?
Well,
Since we have to figure out the calls.
I can get with Scott, because obviously some of those neighbors are not happy with the water tower in there at all.
A second one?
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah, the guy that is, where it is, the water tower.
They already have
behind it,
the second one, I
Can't
get
get
it.
the shot.
it's everything from that will decrease the value of our home to
Yeah.
the aesthetics.
You got one of the biggest water tanks in the county right there now.
Did he want you to change it?
Yeah, he thought I had a pool, and I said, I don't have anything to do with anything over there.
I'm telling
It's
you,
my dad's name,
it's two things. Economics and Isaac Newton.
Yeah,
Gravity.
yeah, that's, yeah. But there
Water
are
flows
also,
downhill, folks.
so there's other things. That has always been planned for two water towers, though, hasn't it?
I didn't think so, but once again,
I know when we spoke to Dave, you know, when we first went in there initially and started carving it all out, there was,
well, okay.
two things. Was, we shoved the entrance, because we wanted to get going on the project so quickly, we moved what the
Yes.
initial entrance was supposed to be, which is now exposed where it was going to go, entrance to that lane. We started using the water tank entrance, right?
Yep.
That was one kind of, it was rather contentious, but I know Dave, I knew there was a second water tank that was supposed to.
Yeah, now that you say that, because of all the development going in out there, clear all the way down to Miller Ridge still
Right.
coming.
But I
I
can
knew
appreciate,
we would need another,
but I can appreciate that hood not knowing that. Because all we dealt with was what was on Donna Street where she is.
She lives on Stone
Bannock,
And then all
Bannock
around.
Road, Dawson.
I mean, that was the only people that we were dealing with at the time, right? Because none of it was developed. So, and I was gonna say, I wonder if Donna would be a great person to try and get involved in being kind of a pack leader over there, but anyway. But that was kind of my thought, to see if we could get some people interested, and then obviously go through the city and see what, you know, what could happen, what can't happen. So,
Okay,
um,
we could certainly do that.
any other, comments about parks, about these?
I think Gardner Park, with its rectangular structure and the width and depth of it, that park has got real opportunity, especially for new groups that want to do something.
It's huge.
It is huge, and it's got a decent parking along the street there. What is that, Inland?
Catalpa.
Is that what
It's
it is?
Catalpa Street leading into International Paper's backside.
Yeah.
And Paul, I would love, let me just, well, I would love for some representative from the city, and I've said this to you before, but knowing Rob, who is the branch, maybe the plant manager over there, obviously my wife works there, I really think if someone went in from the city and engaged them, I think they might take over that park in the sense of improvements or being a partner with the city to help with some things. But again, it's another, I mean, it's just something else we gotta, you know, gotta come up with, but, you know, I mean, they're international paper. I mean, you can't get much more environmental than that. So, absolutely, oh, absolutely, you should show it. And then, Paul, all I would say, from my point, the takeaway also, the only thing I'm gonna comment on is, again, the honeysuckle hedge that separates the 4 or 5 luxurious mansions over there, who don't want to see that hedge taken out, but is a haven for drug use. Your guys have cleaned it out several times. That hedge should really be taken down. It just shouldn't.
We'll plan it, maybe plant ponds or something.
Well, without a doubt, and if the neighborhood is that horrified by seeing that park, then they can pitch in and put some arborvitae's in it, it's that horrible.
Yeah.
Has this been an argument in the past, or
Well, you know, when I notice it the most, it is, as always, I was working over at International, and I just was watching people go in and out, and, I mean, to be very blunt, Charlie was not real thrilled with my phone call to him. Of course, you know me, and I was just like, dude, you know,
that's not a
you got, I don't know, 5 years worth of clothing, there's syringes in it. And he was very nice and just said, Steve, I understand, but he goes, those 5 houses down there, they will absolutely raise hell to us. Well, too bad. Too bad.
John Ridge.
John's at the corner, I forget his name.
Gleason, Helen Stevens Gleason, who got the Kentucky Derby winning horse.
She's not. Oh, okay, her daughter.
Yeah, no.
She lives there.
She's there.
I'm sorry,
That's
I
right.
knew the.
You knew Tootie
The
and
real,
Liz.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I used to do
But,
it.
but again, I think if it was presented in the right way, I mean, I can appreciate that if we go in there and flail arms and start butchering it down, you can't do that, but to go in and have a conversation with them.
I think one of Thatcher's daughters was,
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
that's
was
what
I can't remember which one.
last one.
So maybe, we do
You know, I know the house.
get a meeting with those folks and,
His cat?
if there's an alternative, pine trees or whatever you
Is that,
suggested.
yeah, why not? And if
Maybe
you
they-
probably approach it, let's say, get that done first, and then get started, you can see how that will,
Because it's been hard enough, it's hard enough for us to basically, to do basic things. Take care of our trees that we plant, take care of the turf, right, get it mowed correctly, find our country. We've never really broached comments or suggestions like eradication of honeysuckle, which is an invasive plant. The pear tree, invasive. Where am I going with this? Is, if we really wanted to, we could really carve and pound on the table that other municipalities are trying to take care of things like that. But with all we have right now, with all the other kind of struggles, I don't see a need in pounding on that. But when it comes to certain parts of the town, and if it's harboring the homeless and harboring drug use, I'm gonna make an argument.
Right.
We ought to do something.
Yeah, the Parks Department has been, I've been told, spend a lot of time on maintenance of garden because they keep setting slides on fire.
Yeah,
And tearing up
Start
everything.
out tearing it up, like right after they leave.
Yeah, right after they leave, they have to go back.
And so, maybe getting that park into somebody's hands and having a little more ownership to it might help curb that. I don't know. But,
that almost ownership is very, probably appreciated, maybe if it was brought to their attention, what plan was happening
Right.
after the system. Plans they probably love,
Right.
because I'm sure they know that too. They're looking.
well, and John, and honestly, John is all for, if it makes sense, John will write a check. He'll write a check. He's not afraid of that, but it has to make sense. And, where is the care and all that? But you guys, I was trying to piggyback. That's a big park.
It is.
You could do a lot of
It
things.
would be awesome.
Oh, there's a lot of room there.
It's, yeah.
It would be great for sport to take over a park. I'm trying to think of something. Doesn't have a home.
Baseball.
Baseball.
Be there.
Thanks, thanks. Anyway. Anyway.
See that? I didn't feel any love there.
Any other comments? Did you get to all those, okay? And Matt, any?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything else.
So, Oakland Park, while we visited, can I ask you, Paul, where are you at in this process?
So Oakland Park, we put out an RFP, I think they got one RFP in to do an upgrade of Oakland Park. But it was relatively, came back relatively expensive. So they're evaluating it right now, so, I know some neighbors in that area are interested in having a say in what happens there at that park. Also, the Middletown Connect group would like some input. So I know Ashley was going to get with the Middletown Connect people and then see what they were suggesting and then come and talk to the park board about it.
So they were thinking about like customizing it a little bit, is that the right?
So, there was a rendition that was done a couple of years ago, which, it looked really, really nice. And I think that was kind of shelved because it was extremely expensive, from what I understand. I wish I could Ashley wasn't able to be here tonight. She has the answers on that. Her son got hurt at daycare today, so she had to take him to the ER. So I wish I could tell you what the numbers were, but let me get back with you guys on that.
Yeah.
I'll email you this week with the answer to that.
Could you take just a few seconds and explain to the group as far as it sitting, the funding that we were thinking of using for the park, and then at the same time being in the Oakland Historic
District. So initially, we have the opportunity to use a couple of different funds. The city council back in January freed up a couple $1 million for park improvements from the capital improvement budget. We've spent very little of that. One of the things we were going to spend from that fund was the upgrade and addition of pickleball courts at Leprosy Park. We got the bids in for that, and the bid that came in, only one company bid the pickleball courts and the shelter, and it came in totally at around $525,000. 306,000 of that were for the pickleball courts, and believe it or not, like $120,000 was the cost of the shelter. I'm in the wrong business. Now, the good news, we're not gonna have to use any of that park money or that capital improvement money for that, because we found out that we could use the CDBG grant, the CDBG block grant money, community development block grant money for the pickleball courts and shelter at Leprosy Park. So, and also we may have CDBG funds available for Oakland Park also. So I wish Ashley could have made it tonight, but unfortunate circumstances, she might have been able to answer that better than me. Once again, I'll get you.
For the newer members of the park board, I just think it's great to have you here and get to the real story, because we have some things floating around here, you know, what's going on there, so I just want you to get in.
And so, I don't know if you want me to talk here now, or?
You're happy to, because I was gonna make a few comments as well.
I talked with Dave and what's your name, Matt? Matt. And Steve, and, I wanna, we need, the city needs to do a better job communicating things to the park board, like the situation with Leprosy Park. I thought it had been discussed, but I'm not trying to make excuses. Some things I didn't even know about, like the mini-pitch soccer thing down at Douglas. That seemed to be a decision that was made, that was part of the community center project, and all I knew was, hey, this project's being done, and I'm like, okay, the schools and some city leadership at the council level seemed to know that that was what was going on, and so that's how that happened. We have to, regardless, we have to do a lot better job of communicating some of these things. And that's why I'm here tonight, just to get feedback from you guys, what we can do that will better help the park board make decisions and input, and just try to, we have these capital improvement dollars available. And I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't got any further November 1st than I thought we would be back on January 16th when this money was freed up. But that money is there. It's not like it's going to be pulled out from under you.
Sure.
I think we need to do a lot better job looking at the parks master plan, having you guys look at it and say, where do we go from here? Because really, my take on that was like what you brought up about those water filling stations. My God, we should have put those in back in May and June, we had the money. You know, so it's just stuff like that that has to be done, and like some, just like you know, like one thing I was talking about was, you know, we seem to get a lot of those park benches damaged, the wood park benches. I'm wondering if we shouldn't look at going to the concrete ones like you see out at Arnco Park. A little bit more expensive, but
Lasts forever.
they last forever, and if somebody steals those, I don't wanna meet them. You know, so I think that's some of the things we need to, you know, step up to the plate and start doing, because we have funds available to do it.
Are you looking for us to make that
Well,
recommendation? or
I
how-
think what I'm saying is here, going forward, you guys need to be involved in that. I don't wanna see us doing stuff like that, and then you guys not knowing anything about it. You know, the mini pitch thing. Now, pickleball court, some of that was my doing. It was my understanding that this has been a project that has been looked at for a while, and, you know, I wasn't too sure on how much it was discussed here. But you guys should be involved in all that. Anything that happens in the park, you guys should have, you know, have a say, have a voice in it.
That's so interesting, because that's not anything that we've been hearing, and I'm not supposed to talk, and I know that because I'm not a member. I'm nobody. No money is all offered all year, there's no money for anything, and no info. I mean, those are the two calling cards I've been hearing since June. Seriously. That's
So-
that was my thing.
One thing I did was essentially our organizational chart within the city was myself, I had an assistant city manager, and then each department had a department head. And they reported to me and the assistant city manager. What I've done is I created another assistant city manager position, appointed assistant city manager, and I took two assistant city managers and divided those departments up. So I have an assistant city manager over administrative services who is over, who's over things like finance, law, economic development, information systems, that sort of thing. And then I got an assistant city manager who's over community and public services, such as development services, which is code enforcement, building inspection, nuisance. She's over public works, so actually Scott Taddis reports to her now. And I broke those,
Which would include parks and parks.
which would include parks and parks. You know, and in all fairness to Scott and Public Works, you know, really looking back at it, when Middletown got rid of Parks and Recreation, they were like, what are we gonna do? Here, we're just throwing under Public Works. That's probably one of the worst things you can do, because they are so tied up and busy with public works things, like doing the big three things in Middletown that people want. They want to drink safe water, they want to be able to take a shower, and they want to be able to flush their toilet. Outside of that, paved roads, snow plow, that stuff. Unfortunately, parks have taken a low part on the totem pole. We've got to reverse that. We have to reverse that. And I thought we were going in that good direction in January, when council agreed to free up $2 million, but, so, and that was one. I think now with Ashley over Public Works, she can pay a lot more attention to parks. Because really, Scott and those guys, they do a great job I mean, Middletown water is safe. I mean, we have some of the best water around, you know. That public infrastructure works, but our parks have been neglected for too long. So, that's the purpose of that. I am just a little bit, and Ashley knows, and she knows a priority is to, I don't want to say, we're gonna run out there and spend $2 million. We're gonna spend it right. You guys are the people who are out there in the parks. And we'll, you know, we've got a model to follow, the parks master plan. But it doesn't mean we have to follow that exactly. It's a roadmap. It's been, what, 2 years since that was finalized, Steve? So, you know, things change. Things changed. I took, you know, I went out into the parks and I'm like, my God, why couldn't you just come out here with a can of spray paint and spray over all the cuss words? I mean, you know, we got to get it, we got to do that. And, you know, there's park benches, picnic tables that are just beat up, torn. That's where I, you know, thought, you know, I wonder if it'd be better to put the concrete park picnic tables out here in benches. They're more expensive, but I bet you, you know, then when people write graffiti all over, you just come in with a can of concrete colored paint and paint over it. So Ashley, one of her priorities she's been given is to pay more attention to the parks, and is to make sure that you guys, since your job is to be an advisory board to the city, to look to your guys' expertise to do that. You know, and we probably, to me, that's a capital improvement is to go over there to Gardner Park, talk to those people, get that honeysuckle out of there and put pine trees or something up there.
You're improving the park that hasn't been touched in a long time.
Right.
But, you know,
So that's what we need to do. Maybe, I don't know, the next meeting, maybe we want to sit down with that park master plan and kind of look at it and reprioritize. I mean, the winter months are coming along. Don't know that we'll be able to do much in the winter months in the park, but
It's a good time to plan.
it's a good time to plan and hit the ground running in March or April. And I think the park's gonna look a lot better by the first of the summer. So, and that's why I'm here tonight. We have to go in this direction.
Let me ask you this, one of the things we had in mind to do, and I don't know if I don't want to duplicate what you might already be doing or somebody on your staff, is to meet with some of these user groups of the park to see where they're trying to take their organization or what they need or what they're trying to
There aren't
accomplish.
too many user groups left. We got soccer, rapping. How many did we count out the other day? The baseball people over at Goldman are pretty much gone.
You mean softball?
Softball. Yeah.
they're
they're
going
gone.
for like 5.
Yeah. So what are the?
Midi, soccer,
Midway,
pickleball.
soccer, pickleball.
Frisbee golf.
I don't think we have a user group with any.
Those are pretty cool.
That's just an individual. See, people will play all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it has, you know, we don't have, you know, soapbox derby anymore.
But actually, you are correct. We have a little department right now working on the user agreements to get those up.
Light up Middletown. Balloon.
Yeah.
We don't have.
No, we just have
What
two
about
days.
that?
You just have a.
Okay. But,
So that I promise you guys, you guys have to be better involved, and there is some money.
That's
So
interesting.
Danielle, get your neighbors together. Talk about, she lives on Sherman Park.
Okay.
So this is a perfect opportunity to get your neighbors together, talk about what your vision is for that park, and come here. You're a great person.
And, you know, we want to do things to get people back into using the parks, especially kids. So one thing, I have Jerry Lewis, who's our community events person. Jerry's going to do a program next summer where the firemen and policemen once a week will go into one of the parks and play kickball with the kids and grill them hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that. And we'll start off by doing it once a
Me
week.
too.
And that's just,
That's what I was gonna say, what wrong with
just,
that?
you know, it's to get kids in the park, you know, and, you know. So, and I'm gonna tell you guys, and you can blame that guy right there. I offered all summer to have your park board meeting in a park, and I would come out with a grill and cook you guys dinner.
One of our members didn't want to be at a park and have a meeting.
Well, but then we were told they were going to be filled.
But
We
anyway,
always make an
what do we need to
exception.
go see the parks for? They all suck, so we know.
Well, there's nowhere decent to sit, like he said, all he does.
She's my witness.
There's always.
Well, I said
You
that,
can make it.
but make it nice.
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's all crappy, there's bird shit everywhere.
Let's see, we gotta reverse that.
We do.
have to
We
reverse
gotta
that.
make it nicer.
Correct.
You know.
It would be nice to focus on one big project a year, you spend some money on a park, do something cool with it.
You know, and we got some grief because originally, we chose Oakland Park to be the first park that we did that major renovation to. And there were some who said we need to do a little in each park. I said, you know, let's go do one park, get that thing fixed up, get it looking good, so people in Middletown can say, oh, wow, look what we can do, instead of doing little things all over. To me, you knock one out, get it remodeled, and show what the rest of your parks can look like, and that'd be a huge step in the right direction.
We used to do that on our day.
Yeah.
You know, did several parks.
So you're saying you already handled, like if I looked at this list here, that's what we were presented at some point last year, right? That whole page is immediate needs.
Most of maintenance.
And it's like $1,550,000 down there, you're saying there's $2 million.
I believe at that council meeting in January, council freed up $2 million in
So,
improvement.
probably the only thing you'd spend on
I don't think
that
they haven't done hardly any.
is the bathrooms at Smith Park.
That is correct, yeah.
For roughly 150.
But capital improvements isn't maintenance, is it?
No, capital improvement is not maintenance.
So can't you spend that on?
What?
Well, you're talking about the 2 million, it's not capital improvements. It can be
Well, the
spent.
2 million is capital improvements, but capital improvements could be like replacing all the park equipment would be capital improvement.
Alright.
Yeah.
Building a shelter.
Because we talked about that.
That's crazy, a shelter. $125,000. I about fell out of my,
I know some people that love to get paid back.
What was it
Building
made
one.
out of?
Yeah, go,
How big was it? What was it made
oh,
out
and
of?
if you want electricity, it's $14,000. So, I mean, we do have funds available.
So let me finish this up. I appreciate though, I'm glad Paul opened up. And then I'm gonna, in the comments, I'll kind of fill in some gaps, but I'm glad Paul identified why he's here. And again, I think it's important for the newer members. I mean, this is one, I've been doing this a long time, and I've had a city manager show up at meetings at all, let alone, we have our board rep, our council. Is there any other questions about park visits? Oh, I just want to finish this category. And then go on to new business. I would like to open up number 7 with new business. I would like all of you to look at our agenda. And at our next meeting, do we need to add anything to this agenda? Do we need to lose anything from this agenda? I don't want to make this new business into a complicated thing. But I think it's important, and again, I'll kind of explain in number 8, our comments, where I'm coming from with this. But I would like to make a suggestion that we all look at the agenda, and honestly, I mean, I don't care if it's the minute before we come into the next meeting, But do we need to add anything? And then I would say to you, Paul, if Ashley thinks, or you think that we should be doing something a little different from the agenda. But, and if it doesn't need to change, then it doesn't need to change. But I think it could just, after this meeting, if it needs to be refreshed, so. But I will open it up. Is there any other comments as far as anyone have any new business to bring up?
No, the only thing I want to assure is that the one thing that was discussed at the last meeting, that we, you know, this board will be involved in making decisions and determination on the horticultural stuff and those types of things. Even if we have a staff member who has certifications and that stuff, once again, you guys are an advisory board. You're here to advise us and to help us make decisions. And I promise you, your decisions and your input will make a huge difference in what we determine to do. You guys are the park experts.
Anything, so I'll move on to the comments, and I'll start with Danielle. Do you have any comments? Okay. David, any comments?
I like the idea of looking at the agenda, especially if we might talk to user groups where we can figure out how to engage a neighborhood to come in here and talk about the vision that they have for the park and what they'd like to see done. That's not a 5-minute conversation, right? So we could, Rob, change the agenda to be able to allocate 20 or 30 minutes to that conversation with the Sherman Park neighbors to come in. Limit your conversation, limit your comment, for them to limit their comments to like 20 minutes and talk about what they see as the vision for the park. So I think it would be great if we could engage some of those neighborhoods.
Not only user groups, have you guys had any conversations at all with this Middletown? Okay, so the governor of Ohio created a program called Ohio Is, IZ. IZ stands for Identification Zone. And what they did was, okay, like Middletown. In Middletown, you have these identification zones, and those identification zones are census tracts. And Middletown's broken up into, gosh, I think maybe, I could be wrong, 20 census tracts. But anyway, they've identified 3 census tracts in Middletown that have a 12-year lower life expectancy than all of the other census tracts in Middletown. So what they've done is this group, they created this group to study why these 3 census tracts have a lower life expectancy. And they identify quality of life as being a big one. You know, having nice parks, having access to food and grocery stores in the area, cleaning up the neighborhood and things like that. One of the things they really wanted to push was like these gardens in the parks. And they wanted to run right out and start putting the gardens in the parks. And I said, no, you gotta go talk to the park board. So, but the thing is, I will tell you, there's wonderful people on that Middletown Connect group. There are. They wanted to go and do all these things in the park, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. We just can't go marching into a park and take it over. You know, you need to go through the park. We have a park master plan. Anything you want to do should be part of that park master plan and should have the blessing of the park board. So my point is.
Do you have a contact? Paul?
Yes. Either Jackie Phillips, our health department
Okay.
director, Christy Durst, yes, thank you, you're right.
Okay.
Christy,
That's Southwest Flagship.
the new lady who
Okay.
just got elected to council, Jennifer Byrne, Carter,
Okay.
and Deanna Shores.
I may bug you for a, well,
I got their numbers, call me.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I got Chris, okay.
If I remember, I'll text you them.
We gotta invite them. I'd invite
Yeah,
them.
Tracy told me she had some money for some projects in these lower income.
Yeah. Yep, and they do, and actually that came from the governor, from the state of Ohio. And it's interesting, they've actually, went into the Sherman Park area and, our special operations division of the police department got involved with them. And so Middletown has like over 300 infill lots in town. Infill lots are where a house has been torn down and the city owns that land, okay? So one place they wanted to put one of those gardens was on a lot down in Cleveland and Grant.
Yeah, that's there.
Yeah, and I thought, so our narcotics officers was like, yeah, we want to put in this, can we get permission to put one of these, what are they called, something gardens?
The community.
Just a
Community garden,
Yeah,
thank you
yeah.
very much. Yeah, he says, we got money, we can get money from this fund and do them, and I was thinking these nice wood boxes
It was a decent idea what they did though, okay? Because I thought the same.
have you ever seen the picture of it? So what they did is went out to Lowe's and got this big like metal horse trough.
Tractor Supply.
Tractor Supply, and there's like, what, 8 of them?
Yeah.
And they got this big, huge sign which breaks every code violation. And I'm like, it's not what I envisioned when I said you could have a community garden, so I thank God I said, no, you need to talk to the park board before you run to the park.
The vegetables look great.
Just a bunch of silver, it's just.
Yeah.
Do you like it like that in the
I
hood?
mean, it's okay, it's different than what I envisioned.
I envisioned the wood,
Yeah.
like Joe, or Jeff Michelle,
No, I wanted.
That's what I thought they were gonna do.
But the lady still owns it, and she was.
I say one thing, the only thing that the metal does, it brings attention to.
Yeah, you gotta really look at
Yeah,
it.
it sure
It sure as heck does. And,
Well, it actually does 2 things.
okay,
It brings attention, but it doesn't break down.
no,
And Paul, to you, no offense, but
the wood would be a nice.
the wood will break down. We've installed so many of those for customers. And with subterranean termites, as bad as we have them, that's all I'm saying.
But if we were to paint them,
Yeah,
right, and let the kids
I would say
paint them,
bring the kids into
And
it.
let them paint them.
It really looks cool.
That's a heck of an idea. I'd like to see them paint them.
Yeah,
So how did the crops look?
they look beautiful.
Yeah,
So they
they're
took-
big and.
so they, other than the trough,
Yes.
they did a good job maintaining.
There's a variety of things out
Yeah,
there.
and at Halloween or something, I think it was at Cal or whoever's in charge of it, there was a couple of taco trucks around.
Yeah, food trucks.
And it was fired up, and it was cool. There were a lot of people there.
They took advantage of their neighborhood. That's the whole point.
They didn't even show.
And that's good. That's fine.
I know. But, well, and that's where you have to have a good line of communication. You've got to have.
But I
What are
think-
you doing? And you don't want to discourage them. But it sounds like Christie and Jackie would be a good venue to help organize that. And I would like to see it standardized. If you're gonna do it, it should be done the same way on every lot. That's my opinion. Or you can customize it, but don't waste your money on wood.
Well,
And have pop-up gardens.
behind, over by Ranger's office,
Oh, Cindy,
the park that they did, my mother-in-law started helping in that all.
Cindy, what's her name?
Yeah, but the thing is that it wasn't being watched.
Correct.
So homeless people were going in and using the bathroom, living there, and using the water and so on and so forth. So it went away, it was a really good idea.
It was.
People were using it, but it's gone.
That was the Doug Atkins thing.
But the thing that, you know, if you're in the neighborhood over by, Queen, man, there's several watchdogs there, and you don't get near it. I mean, it is.
It's ownership.
And it is, and I think that that's why that might take hold because of the ownership. Yeah, it really, because when they started putting those traps, I'm like, what in the world? But really,
That's what I know.
they look, it looks.
They're not gonna go anywhere, they're galvanized, baby, they're there for 150 years, we'll be long gone before those things.
Well, the only caveat and the only agreement we say is if somebody comes up and says, I want that lot to build a house on, then
I get it.
that, the garden has to go away.
David, did you have any other comments? Because we interrupted you, but we were talking about the agenda
Sorry.
No.
and user groups. Matthew?
No, I've been going to the parks and Recs since I'm on park board, of course. And I am surprised at what parks are being used, what parks aren't being used. Like we discussed with, the baby, was that Michigan Park?
Yeah.
And I was surprised to see people there, using it, and they are. So I think that that's cool. I think that people are using the parks. The other thing, maybe a suggestion is that I remember when we went and talked to council, about, when, the idea was brought up to sell a park, put Miami Park, and put homes on it. And we were actually there, they met with us, what, an hour before the meeting, and the park board, we were there where we could actually work after the, council, and they knew some of our thoughts, we knew some of theirs, but just not keep it at that. Discuss a certain park, or a user group or something like that, where council is involved with us in a meeting that whoever wants to attend can attend from the town, and it's just not like this. You know, it puts us more in the spotlight as well.
So, interjecting, so maybe a yearly review with council that we could go in, especially since we have a bright and shiny new council,
Yes.
that we could go in February or March and introduce ourselves and bring up a few of our concerns, or obviously starting off the success stories that are going on, but then bring up, so you're thinking we meet again and maybe make it a year, and I think each board should do
I
that,
think it was great.
so they know who these boards are.
Well, yeah, now I thought you came in and give a report to the council.
Well, we come in, you know, we do the Arbor Day.
You do the, okay.
You know, and that's fine, Paul, that's fine, you know, they're very nice and give us a few minutes to talk about the Emerald Ash Borer or the Spotted Lantern Club. But what Matt was talking about is pretty, that was unbelievable, that was a very nice, and I think it kind of got snowballed, you know, when they went to the Historic Commission, you know, and they invited them in. And, you know, they were able to, those guys were able to kind of fill them in on some possibilities.
Yeah, anytime you guys want to come, I'll put you on the city manager's report. You know
I think
that.
that's a great
Yeah,
suggestion.
so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good idea.
I think that's a great idea. I've got a few things, and I will try and keep it short, but I really want to keep, I really want to take advantage of that. Can, Paul, when we're, okay, so I'm just gonna get kind of into this. So we have a member who we need to talk about as far as some not showing up.
Okay.
But we have a woman here who's been coming to the park board basically all year. You have filled out an application, correct?
I did.
So, Julie, we were looking, you know, she was willing to fill in one of these liaison positions because she wants to be active, and we're lucky we have, you know, it makes, you know, how that liaison position works, I'm not completely clear on voting and that. But can council not appoint her? Is there only one time a year that we?
So, I'll have to look at what, how long are your terms for?
Well, that's it, I think terms, advocacy.
Okay, let me take it to my apologies. I didn't mean to bring up Irene, but, you know, can we, can we get, yeah, they're staggered, and we've got fill-ins, and we've got this, and some people took over other positions. But I guess what I'm really asking, Paul, can't council, approve a member throughout the year?
They can't exceed what's the number of people on the board.
We understand that.
You're asking for fill unexpired terms.
No, I'm asking to fill a liaison position to start.
It's an empty one.
We have three liaison positions,
I see, okay.
besides the 5 members. And Ally's had this application, and I have been bringing it up to her, hey, what are we doing with this application? And so I didn't know if council was limited to only approving board members once a year.
Maybe I haven't approved, that's the other thing too.
Well, yeah, but it needs
You might
to
have
be,
said no.
but it needs to be looked
I know
at.
that, because I was when the vote came up.
So I'm gonna follow up with you on that.
Yeah, let's follow up on that.
Because
I think
she-
what I need to do is go back and look at the,
It's all on the board.
because
Yes.
the board appointments are done in executive session.
Correct.
So I'll have to go back and review my notes on that from the executive session to see.
But when, so I don't.
They discussed, I don't know where they ended up on the liaison positions.
Okay. Because I should have been
Let me
careful.
follow up.
I should have been careful, but I also, I think there is another position potentially that can be filled. That can be filled, but I didn't want to confuse you because I've had an application for someone that we have an open position for that has never been followed up on. And it's pretty frustrating. I'm not gonna hold back on that. It's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you. Unless council or whoever does the approval just can't do it until a certain time of the year. Right, because if we lose them, typically if we would lose a member and we can fill that, they can do that if it's an actual board member. I know that's happened because that's how I got that. Okay, thank you for that. I'm gonna follow up with you on that. I would recommend, because we talk about new parks, I would encourage everyone, I think I brought this up before, Franklin on Route 123 where the new high school is. Have you seen that new park they put in, Paul, over at the park?
No.
You need to go look at that. You need to grab Ashley and go with me, and you can buy me lunch, and we need to go look at that park. You can come too, man.
It's right on the road.
You need to come to,
By their football stadium.
right by where the
Oh,
new.
where this is.
So, Paul, you need to go, because what I'm trying to get to, and this is what we did at Keep Middletown Beautiful,
Lots of color.
and also with agendas, let's not reinvent the wheel all the time, right? There's a lot of models out there that we just need to replicate and take advantage of. And then this park is pretty damn nice, Patty and I stopped at it, and I mean, I was very impressed with it. And they put some bucks into it, big time. Then lastly, so I kind of want to take just one minute, and Paul had brought up, you know, he's here to help and reiterate what the importance of park board is. I became a little bit frustrated with some answers that I was getting from questions, and because I want to be as open and honest about this as possible. I felt that administration was a bit disconnected from this board. And I felt it was important that we go talk to them just to express, you know, where do we fit in the city's ideas and how we help with the city. And it was a very good meeting. There were things discussed, and, you know, how this is, there obviously are some changes that are going on, but I also feel like this is kind of experimental. I don't want to be the one president that, you know, sees this board go down the tubes in a sense. I am very much reassured by Ashley and Paul that we do have some relevance within this city. And I do though think that it's gonna take a little bit of time to figure out who we are, where we fit with them. So I thought it was probably best to kind of start at the beginning, and that, looking at our agenda. And we've brought up talking to some user groups, how can we be more interactive? But I appreciate the time that they gave us, and I think it was a productive meeting, and I do again appreciate Paul coming here tonight. To let all of you kind of understand, it's a nice inside view, because I think in this town and in any town, stuff just starts getting talked about, and what's going on, and why are they doing this, and blah, blah, blah. So I think it's important that he came tonight. But if any of you have any, yes, yes.
That's what I said, right? It was so appreciated.
Fine,
It'll be in the minutes.
wasn't it everybody?
But if anyone has any other questions about tonight, or, you know, the future, you're welcome to reach out to me. I don't have nearly the answer, but at the same time, I just felt like we needed a bit of fresh air, and I just felt like it was not, we weren't really going anywhere. And I'm hoping for the next person that takes over, they'll get moving and bring up new ideas, because I have certainly looked in the mirror a couple of times and gone, well, am I really doing any good at all with this group? Regardless of how long you've been doing something, sometimes that can be the real problem, and you get in a rut. But if no one else has anything else, or comments, please.
So Paul, I'd like to give you the opportunity, you had made mention, this is unrelated to park board, but since you're in front of the taxpayers here, you had made mention of 2 assistant city managers. Can you really talk about that is really more form over substance as you compare it to other cities and how they're structured?
Yeah.
Because there's a fair amount of noise out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise out there. That Middletown is the only city of its size that has 2 assistant city managers, and that really is not exactly true. Because they just might not call those positions assistant city managers. For example, I know a city here in Butler County that has 2 assistant city managers, but the title is chief of staff, internal operations, chief of staff, external operations, and in other cities, they're called other things. I just call it what they are, assistant city managers. And we were getting to the point where my time and my assistant city manager's time was just being bogged down by a lot of things, and there were some pretty huge projects going on. And I created this additional assistant city manager, and it was almost cost neutral. Because what we did was, we took a person who was Ashley Combs was the Director of Development Services. Deborah Wells was the Assistant Director of Development Services. That's code enforcement, building inspection, planning, and zoning. Ashley was promoted to Assistant City Manager over those departments I talked about earlier. Nathan Hall was put over the other departments I talked about earlier. Deborah Wells was promoted to Development Services Director, and we did not replace the Assistant Director of Development Services because Ashley Combs has she would be right there overseeing that department, so, you know, she was there to help direct that department if need be. And actually has more qualifications and certifications than anybody in the building to be a city manager. She's got public, administration degrees and masters and stuff like that, so, we made a good choice, we made a good move. It's helped me a lot in terms of allowing me to get out and start paying attention to more things I need to pay attention to as the city manager. One of the things that stayed under the city manager was the health department and public safety. So in the city of Middletown, we don't have a public safety director. The city manager operates as the public safety director. So I'm over police and fire directly and the health department per se. So that's kind of been just a bridge version of why we get that.
So you elevated 2 people in title, giving them.
No, I only elevated one person in time. Well,
Giving
okay,
them-
I'm sorry, you are correct.
But also giving
Yes.
them an opportunity to grow professionally,
Absolutely.
giving them a chance to, you've elevated your own
Yeah.
people, you really kept
And-
it cost neutral. Now you have that extra money, potentially, that you can hire more park maintenance staff, so we could get some of the other things done. Wouldn't that be
I'm
awesome?
a very, very firm believer in preparing your staff to take over positions above. So I'm really big in succession, and if you look at the fire department, that's how I set the fire department up over the last 10 years.
Win-win.
And when we get into the fire department, the succession program, when I came over here, they didn't even miss a beat, they didn't even miss me. Because we had a plan of succession in line to work, and that's what we need to do with the city. I'm a big believer in homegrown your people. That doesn't mean we don't look to the outside, but I think if we prepare a person internally who knows the city, who knows the system, cares about the city, I think, you know, we'll start seeing more consistency in how we treat the parks, how the police department operates, how the fire department operates, how the health department operates, how we take care of our neighborhoods. I'm a real firm believer, and we really have to pay attention to these plans we do. I can't stand it when the city pays $50,000 or $25,000 on a plan, and it gets put on the shelves. I can't stand it. So I'm really having my staff work on the city's master plan, the destination Middletown, resilient neighborhoods, thriving economy, strong infrastructure, health and safety, and making Middletown that people can be proud of. And Jerry is doing an absolute great bang-up job in getting the community involved in events. I'm really excited about downtown Middletown for the holidays. You know, you've probably seen billboards around town, a very merry Middletown. We've lit up. If you notice, we lit up every other tree because we didn't have the money to do every tree. I think we could do it
And then
next
the
year.
signs with the servicemen?
Yes.
That's new too, that's cool.
Jerry did a great job with that. She figured that there'd be about 60 signs, and you had to go halfway down Central. We had to go down Main Street. We're all the way down Central and down Main Street. There was well over 100 signs.
And the Fall Fest, that was, I don't know.
Fall Fest was awesome. In Middletown, we just gotta get back into doing things like that, and Jerry's doing a great job. I'm excited about Christmas. Everybody knows that I wasn't really a big fan of the ice rink downtown, Holiday Hoopla. I was just worried that we were chasing bad money. The council made a decision to fund it. We did it with $246,000, so by God, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. If we're gonna put that much money into that type of an event, it's gonna work. The very Middletown's gonna be cool. We're gonna have horse and carriage rides on the weekends down there. You know, so I'm excited. And I think we've got to spill that energy over into the parks. We've just got an unbelievable development going on out east of 75 in the Renaissance Point development. It's kind of two developments. The anchor is a 6,000 seat arena that will have a hockey theme to it. But it can be turned into used for other events, concerts and stuff like that. And that in itself is over $100 million. And then the development around it is an additional $100 million where you'll have two major hotels. You'll have a couple high-end luxury apartments, high-end townhouses. You'll have a medical office building, and then you'll have a bunch of shops and restaurants around there. Very similar, kind of, I should say very similar, but kind of like what you have at Austin Landing. It was the same development company that did Austin Landing is doing that development there, and a development company out of Arizona is actually doing it. So those plans are going very good. There should be, I'm hoping there's shovels in the ground like next fall for that.
Didn't we okay money? Then we just, at the last meeting,
What's that?
didn't we okay some money at the last meeting to start?
Yeah, some public infrastructure money
Yeah.
was, council had already voted,
Okay.
to use ARPA dollars, some ARPA dollars, I think, but we're teaming up with Warren County to do that project, Warren County Port Authority, and it's proceeding well. The arena is still, we've still got some hurdles to get over on the arena end of it. But the other part of it, it's ready to go. They can start putting, shovels in the ground tomorrow if the other end of the project could catch up with it. But when the developers start arguing over where they're gonna put the dirt, that's when you think, oh my God, this is gonna work.
Can I ask, CVS on the corner closed? Is there
Yeah,
plans?
so we don't know,
Oh, okay.
don't know who bought it. Haven't found out yet.
Rumor has it it's Chick-fil-A, but.
No.
You would know that.
I have heard that.
Good angry chicken, man, come on, people. You got the Briar formation right here.
So, you know, there's a lot of good things going on. Senior Citizen Center, Dave's on a task force I've created to figure out what we're gonna do with the Senior Citizen Center, you know, and,
We've had some really good conversations.
today was probably the best meeting we had all.
It is, today was.
All month. But, you know, we purchased the Senior Citizen Center, saved the Senior Citizen Center, and we did it mainly for two reasons. One, I felt that the Middletown taxpayer invested $7 million in that, and they deserve a chance to have some control of what goes there.
It's a good place. It's
Tough to solve.
It is.
It's big, it's very expensive to operate.
Yeah.
People underestimate what it really costs to keep doors open.
Good fit a pool.
In a 26,000 square foot facility.
Good pool on the back end.
Yeah.
Good old St. Mary's.
Put a ponderosa
I don't know.
I'm just
Oh,
saying.
you mean in-ground pool? I thought
There's
you
your,
meant-
there's your middle of the road to make everybody happy. The pool's in the middle of the city.
I don't know that we could. See, the problem is there's deed restrictions on my property.
Is there?
And what, we're allowed to put there is very, very limited. Willie Cliffs own that property. Well, Arnco owned that property, and they deeded it to the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. And there was a restriction in the deed that you could not build residential property on anywhere on that property. And it has to do with, oh yeah, they sold some of the lots.
Yeah, I was gonna,
Yeah,
the property went from Central to Rosedale.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, they were trying to sell lots back there.
They did sell some.
And then they found out they couldn't close.
I never heard
that, all right, that's another story. Okay.
That's awesome.
So,
Seville couldn't come through Forest either? What the heck?
but you know, the story is told to me is it's more of a tort law thing where a large manufacturing outfit like that, any property they own, they absolutely do not allow, that's why they have deed restrictions on that, they don't allow residential property. Simply because, even though the plant was never there,
They don't want anything.
they don't want anything, any possibility of someone tying up, suing, saying they're, you know.
You don't have one load of slag there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they, so
That's awesome.
Thank you for
they
that.
absolutely would not, absolutely would not,
Well, I know we hear that in the community, right? People are critical of that decision in the city. We need to be able to help explain what happened to the decision makers.
And that's why I think questions like that are important because we're giving our time and we are taxpayers first, but we want to volunteer. But it's nice, and I'll say this, I am a little disappointed that our council liaison hasn't been to a couple of our meetings. I understand, but it was nice having her here because she answers a lot of these questions. And, you know, Paul, when we're here, we get curious. Yes, no, but I mean, it's nice having a venue that we can ask you questions. I'll make
I'll be here for the next few meetings. Ashley will be at the next one also, so.
Anyone else?
We'll figure out what's going on. Are you guys meeting in December?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Some boards take December off.
I don't think, I mean, I don't think it would be anything large, but I'd like to continue with this.
Yeah.
But it is the second Monday now, or what that falls.
The 11th, good.
Don't bring up the time.
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. How do you guys like meeting at 6:30? I mean, is that good, or would you rather meet at like 5:30?
We were doing it, please understand, this really got bounced around. That time thing, we were doing it for Irene. So the individual that's not here right now, I'm just saying, she's a nurse, we tried to customize it, because that was the difficulty of having board members, Paul. I mean, I was trying to keep anybody good here. I remember.
So you moved it back to accommodate her?
Yes. Yes.
So how does 5:37?
I could care less what time we want.
Let me check with the law department and see if we can just arbitrarily move it to 5:30 if it has to be posted for 30 days. That's a movement time.
Thank you. And I'm glad that was brought up, because I hadn't thought about it in a long time. Because I remember who was this library guy that was here? I think you took it.
Doug Lee, was that Doug?
No, not Doug, the new guy. Trevor?
Trevor.
Trevor, that's right.
Yeah, well, he was not real happy. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, everyone. I know it's a little late, but I think it's
Informative.
important.